So, what is the most Scottish looking building? Well, for me, it is this one behind me. It's Edinburgh Futures Institute. Used to be an old hospital, and now it's part of the University of Edinburgh. I never thought that I would be hiding somewhere in Edinburgh. It's so overwhelming. I cannot describe. I am normally very good with crowds. In fact, I'm attracted by crowds. I love people. I love people energy. I love observing people. But here, it is so overwhelming. And Edinburgh Fringe Festival is the biggest gathering in the world of comedians, actors, performers, magicians, dancers, anybody and anybody who loves stages and possibly even healing their childhood traumas will gather here in August. And it's every performer will probably have between 5,000 to 30,000 flyers that they share. You end up carrying bags and bags of stuff, and then every single venue has their own brochure, and it's so many shows, and they are all absolutely brilliant, authentic. Sometimes it's somebody new that just came onto the scene and is going to be rising star of the comedy circuit, acting world. Sometimes it's somebody who's spent their entire life writing 1 hour show that receives kind of average reviews, even though they're absolutely brilliant creator. Because it's so, we think of comedy and performing arts are objective. No. There's always that kind of flavor of the month, flavor of the year. And I love that. Like Nina Simone once said, it is the duty of every artist to reflect the times in which we live. Paraphrasing here. In Edinburgh, you will see absolutely everything. And what I love, it's such a safe place to be. Okay, there are things that happen, but like everywhere. But people go about minding their own business. It's very grounding. There's a lot of natural stone. There's lots of green areas. Very chilled. I think I love the northern part of the UK because people are just kind of more relaxed and they take it with the flow. They go with the flow. Lots of dogs. They're, main comedy lovers. They love comedy. They're probably laughing at us all the time. Kids are just so engaging. It's fantastic. Sometimes the youngest members of the audience are the most appreciative ones. And what is it for me? I've actually for years avoided coming to Edinburgh because I knew that it kind of marks the next stage in my life and as a creator. And I wasn't sure that I was ready. I think when people think what brought you into comedy, I think you just know from very early on in your life, that you are going to employ comedy as an art form to deal with difficult situations, to diffuse drama in your family, in your friendships, in school, at work. I see it as another set of tools in my toolbox. I don't call myself a comedian. Court jester. Well, court jester was one of the most trusted king's advisors. It was the one person that the king, the ruler, would trust to tell them the truth. I don't watch news. I don't have TV license. I listen to radio. I'm more of a radio person. But I actually go to comedy shows to find out what is happening in the world. And it's also part of self-love for me. And the moment when I knew that I was definitely going to go into comedy was actually at Imperial College. And this is the question I get asked a lot. When did you decide to be a comedian? I was a researcher. I was a research associate at Imperial College and Centre for Nuclear Research in Geneva in Switzerland. Yes, the girl from the Balkans. You can take the girl out of the Balkans, but you can't take the Balkans out of her heart. I love to blow shit up. So, as a nuclear physicist and electrical engineer, I was designing an amplifying circuit. So, have I lost you there? I am quite geeky, so, just fast forward. But amplifying circuit, that was actually amplifying the circuit so we can actually measure and we can see when the particles collided into each other. Oh, it's so amazing. So I would make these amplifying circuits and then they would blow them up like every half an hour I would have to change. So I'd be bringing them like protected in, this protective casing. And I was part of the committee that organized an international Collider conference in London, which took place in Imperial College. And our keynote speaker was running late. And the professor who was in charge of the event, for whom I was working, said, just get on that stage and fill 20 minutes. It kind of sounds like my normal comedy gig. How long am I doing now? Because you kind of have jokes and they can last between 10 seconds and half an hour. You can have I saw Fiona Allen the other night, and the whole set was like a big build-up, set-up for the final punchline of the show, which got the biggest release of laughter. Such a great skill. I love that, storytelling and comedy. So, and then I just thought, 20 minutes, what am I going to talk about? I thought I'll cover some logistics and stuff. And then as I walked onto the stage, I tripped over the cables. And then I decided to dance out of it, just to make fun out of myself. And then I realized they were laughing. They needed that release because it was actually quite serious. I mean, this is like 3-day international nuclear physics conference. And then I thought, oh, this is my chance. What do I know best? I know dancing. I know my amplifying circuits, So I talked about me working in the clean laboratory. I mean, wearing the full-on hazmat suit, mask, that kind of spaceship suit. Because I could only spend about 10 minutes in a clean lab, because otherwise that humidity and stuff, it can kind of make it impure environment for the circuit that I was actually bonding gold strips on the diamond. I know other girls love gold and diamonds to wear. I love to build electronic circuits from it. And so as I walked on the stage and said, well, I knew that everybody was blaming me because I was the one who ordered the taxi. I was doing all the logistics, as always. Like when you're a producer, I mean, you are production runner essentially, because, anything that needs doing, from flyering, from, arranging people where they sit, timing, the lighting, all the testing, cables, health and safety assessment. It really teaches you kind of like end to end of working on the production. So, and that's what I was doing there. Essentially, it wasn't a comedy show, but I got on the stage and said, you see, I wanted to talk, and you see what people will do to get some stage time. I arranged for the traffic in London to delay our keynote speaker, and I spoke about how I redesigned the amplifying circuit so they can sit in the casing because it was a bit smaller, and all the difficulties that we had, challenges about raising the money, doing the grand proposal and stuff like that. And actually, it was really good. People started taking notes, what I did. It was kind of very much a PR and marketing role, because you had to also show how far you've gone with the research and what were the kind of quick wins and where it could go, and the storytelling in the paper. There is storytelling in everything, and people, you have to make it relatable to your audiences. And I was just so clumsy. And then I talked about how many components I blew up and how it looks when it's blown. When you blow up the capacitor, you just kind of inverted the connection, and it's amazing. It's actually quite scary, but anyway. And then the keynote speaker arrived and carried one of my circuits that we blew up. And, he kind of introduced the punchline. And it was just so lovely, because the thing that happens in your brain when you are talking about something quite technical and dry, you can actually switch off. You kind of almost like, disassociate from it. But if you're laughing, happy juices are flowing through your brain, and your brain becomes like a sponge. You remember things more, and you remember them in the most positive way. And that's when I knew that I will I will have a comedic phase in my life. And it took me about 10 years to train in comedy. I spent a lot of time in Chicago, in Second City, and the Comedy Store in London. I didn't tell anybody about it, just in case if I bombed. Another Balkan term. Bombed, it means if you don't do as well. So you don't actually share until you are confident enough to come out with it. So I trained for many years. Since the late 90s, I actually trained in comedy. I didn't tell anybody. And then more intensively, I started in 2017. And I didn't attend all the shows. Because not that I was shy, I just didn't feel ready. And sometimes there are shows still that I don't feel ready. But like they say, you are born ready. When you want to do something and you want to do it so badly, and when you've got pure intentions. What are the intentions of comedians? We have, many will know that comedians are probably some of the most depressive people in the world. And it's not just because, we were made that way and stuff. I think because we research so much, we actually find out that the world isn't as a happy and sorted out, fixed place that we want it to be. And also, we are all very deeply broken. And as we pick up the pieces of our life, and it's so fascinating because the journey is different for everybody. You can be spun off on a tangent by a joke and improve your life. And it's so fascinating. You can actually tell if there is like a one laughter in the room. And my favorite laughter is not when the whole room is going, because they're all hypnotized. It's actually quite contagious. But it's actually when one person laughs somewhere at the back of the room, and something hit them there and then, and I know that I have impacted their life in the most positive way, that I've kind of touched the core, and they'll never be the same after that. You can tell by the way people laugh, and when they laugh, and how they laugh, how it was received. So that kind of immediate feedback is so powerful, and we like, and yes, we do like validation. Yes, there are. It's feedback more than anything. And if you're doing it out of the pure reasons, making this world a little bit better, one joke at a time, makes your life, the time passes quicker. It makes it more meaningful. And every time you help somebody else heal, you heal bits of you with them. And it's incredible. You can actually heal by, analyzing and stuff, but this is kind of quite like a form of active learning. You try things and you get a crowd on your side, and you work through it together. And it's wonderful. You just get a support network. So when people say, oh, comedy is therapy, very much so. So is dancing, so is poetry, so is music. Any kind of activity that moves that energy for you to heal, you've got to move that energy. Be it standing up tall, be it getting that attitude, because sometimes your facial expression, your body, just the way you hold yourself, stand up straight, focus on your breath, can be very healing. Sometimes silence can be very healing. Touch, sound frequencies. And it's fascinating. I think I will continue doing this for the rest of my life, because every single time I find something about myself new. I pick up the piece and I compartmentalize it somewhere. And it's like, oh, it's like a puzzle that will probably never be finished. But it looks beautiful, because it's not just about me, because there are people involved, there are emotions. There's a lot of transformation going through, and it's so powerful to be part of that. So there we go. I'm going to my show now. I have to go and do my makeup and become that dance diva that is scary and intimidating. Lots of love.